Here's an interesting fact about the 2026 Winter Olympics. They could have been hosted in Canada instead of Italy. In 2018, Calgary was a front-runner on a list of cities trying to woo the International Olympic Committee. Several had already dropped out of contention, including cities in Norway and Switzerland. Stockholm, Sweden was also in the running, along with Milan and Cortina in Italy. Calgary had a lot to offer. It had already hosted a successful Winter Games in 1988. It had plenty of existing facilities. The time zone was friendly for U.S. television, and even with the onset of climate change, the southern Alberta weather was still reliably wintry. Then something funny happened. Calgary withdrew from competition. The move underlined a critical challenge facing the International Olympic Committee, and with the 2026 Winter Olympics upon us, Calgary's decision still looms over the very future of the quadrennial event. How? Let me spell it out. It's mostly about money. The Winter Games are the smaller, quieter sibling to the Summer Olympics, but they are still big business, and the cost of that business has been skyrocketing. For the 2014 Games in Sochi, for example, Russia is believed to have spent $51 billion. That is billion with a B. By October 2018, Calgary had already spent millions just developing its bid. The actual estimate for hosting the Games themselves was $5.23 billion. Calgary would renovate the aging Saddle Dome rather than build a new arena. Ski jumping would be held in Whistler, BC, which is notably not close to Calgary. And then, in November 2018, the voting public had its say. In a non-binding plebiscite, which is kind of like a sophisticated public opinion poll, Calgarians said no thank you. More than 56% of eligible voters told City Council they did not want the Games in 2026. In that regard, Calgary seemed to be joining a trend. 4 years later, the provincial government in British Columbia killed a bid for Vancouver to host the Olympics in 2030. It would have cost more than $1 billion, even with all the infrastructure from the 2010 Vancouver Games. Provincial politicians could not justify the expense, especially not against real-world issues in healthcare, inflation, and public safety. What does this mean for the future of the Winter Olympics? With so few interested suitors, it has been suggested the Games be put in a rotation. Think of volleyball in elementary school, when everyone takes a turn serving. One city could host, then resume planning for their inevitable return. These cities would already have the facilities in place, which would reduce costs. Ideally, the host cities would also be in places that still produce natural snow and ice. In 2023, the Associated Press suggested a list of potential host cities. Salt Lake City, Utah was on the list, as was Pyeongchang, the more recent host city in South Korea. Vancouver, also on the list. I know that's been discussed. American ski star Lindsey Vonn told the AP. How early that will happen, I don't know. She figured maybe around 2034. Salt Lake City will host the Winter Games in 2034. The question is, who will want to pay for them beyond that?